It's a comprehensive maths walkthrough for the Edexcel Higher paper. It's paper 3, so get your calcs out. And although it doesn't have a date, trust me, it's May/June/summer 2022. Question 1. So to begin with, we've got some Pythagoras. Now, how much working out you choose to do, it's entirely up to you. For me, because it's straightforward, nothing fancy, I want a shorter side. So just get it all in your calculator. It's the hypotenuse squared minus the other shorter side squared. And it just so happens on this one, it works out to be a decimal that doesn't need rounding off. Next. So substitution. So I'm going to do it without a calculator, but if you do use a calculator, make sure you put the brackets in because this one's got a negative squared. But well worth doing these without a calc because it means you end up revising two different ways of doing it for the price of one. So I'm going to replace the m with -3. And now we get BIDMAS to work. So -3 squared is 9, multiplied by 4 is 36. Subtract 11 to give 25. Deliberate mistake, honest. Making P the subject, that's all about doing opposites, also called transposition of formula. So to get P equals, that's the target, you want to be subtracting 4 from both sides. And then divide both sides by 3. And again, how much working out you choose for that is entirely up to you. Number 3. These wordy ratio questions, they are every single set of papers, aren't they? At least once, if not twice. Always organise your thoughts. R, S, T. Rick has some counters. Get an X in there. S has twice as many. Tony, 6 counters less. Total is 54, so the total is 5x's minus 6 is 54. Adding 6 to both sides and dividing by 5 means x is 12. Now we can look at the final line. The number of counters Rick has x, x is 12, to Tony. Tony is 2 12s, 24, take away 6, 18. And weirdly, not a fan of decimals in ratio, but there you go. It wants it in the form of 1 to P. So to get 1 on the left-hand side, you must divide by 12. Dividing the right-hand side by 12 gives you 1.5, in fact. Slight misread, it just wants the P of 1.5. Not a fan. On we go to number 4. Joe buys 15 rolls. So for chic decor, 3 rolls. Want to do that 5 times. So bash your calc, 36 fives. Chic's costing £180. And for the style papers, buy 5, so she's going to need 3 of these packs. So it's 3 lots of £70, but there's a reduction. And if you want to reduce something by 12%, your multiplier is 0.88 or 88 over 100. Or you could obviously do 12% and then subtract it from your total. But I find that to be a little bit longer. However you do it, it works out more expensive, £148. So should Joe buy from there or there, she should buy from CD because it's £4.80 cheaper. You don't need that last bit with it, but feel free. You just need the CD bit. CD is cheaper. Number 5, what's Amos done wrong? First of all, and I'll let you put in your own words, the y-axis or the frequency is missing 40. Another way of putting it, is you could say that the vertical axis is non-linear. And the second mistake, a bit more drilling down in the numbers. If you look at that one, you're supposed to use the midpoints. So this last one should be at the coordinate 45, 5, and not where he's put it at 55. Number 6, wordy and speed distance times. So Jessica runs for 15 minutes. That's a quarter of an hour. So a quarter of 6, because she'll cover a quarter of the distance if it's a quarter of an hour. She'll be doing 1.5 miles. She then runs 40 minutes. Now 40 minutes is 2/3 of an hour. So 9 miles an hour, 1/3 would be 3, 2/3 will be 6. What am I saying? 2/3 of 9 is 6. So as you can see, she's going to be covering a total of 7.5 miles. It takes Amy 45 minutes to run the same distance. So Amy's running 7.5 miles in, don't use 45 because that's in minutes, you want it in hours, so change it to either 3/4 or 0.75. Either way, you get the answer of 10 miles per hour. On we go. Number 7, not a friendly looking one, but my advice would just be get stuck in. So the area of the whole thing, which is the rectangle, well, its length is 3x plus 5. Its height, width, whatever the heck you want to call it, is 4x. And for area, you multiply them. So I'm getting 12x squared plus 20x for the whole thing. Now we want this trapezium. All right, this trapezium here, I'm going to call it y. The formula for the area of a trapezium is a half of the two parallel sides added, so that's 5x, multiplied by the distance between them, 4x. 5 fours are 20x squared, halved. And so we can move to the end game. They want the area of A, which is the shaded region, and that will be the whole lot. You can see where it's coming from now if you couldn't before. Minus y. The x squareds simplify, and you're done. Looks a lot worse at the beginning than it does as you get your teeth into it. Number 8, as you can see, I've slightly cheated because me and electronics are not a good mix. I've drawn the line on already, work out the gradient, always try and pick where it goes through a corner of a square, or whatever you want to call that, a vertex. So I get a height of 14 and I get a nice width of 100. So gradient is vertical divided by horizontal. So that's 14 divided by 100. And what does the gradient of this line represent? Again, it's got 3 lines, 1 mark. Don't fill 3 lines. Get across. All right. If it's not a question that's like speed, distance, time, where it would be velocity or whatever, at the end, just get in the keywords. Get cost and units used. So I would say words along the lines of cost per unit of electricity, or words to that effect, as long as it says the same thing. But do get the labels on the axis. This one, quite a strange one, too big to put in your calculator. So a reminder that square root means power of a half. So we need to do power of a half to the top and power of a half to the bottom. Now the bottom, we can add the powers. There we go. So now when you've got a power to a power, you multiply the powers. So it's 10 to the power of 180, and it's 10 to the power of 120. Over means divide, 10 to the power of 60. Part B, what's Liam done? There's 3 lines. Don't use them all, it's only worth 1 mark. Sometimes the best way to show what someone's done wrong is to do it correctly. And so what happened up here, 12 to the 50 squared, should be multiplying the powers to get 12 to the power of 100. Jane's got a new car, so it's reverse percentages, but treble, because the idea is you don't know the original amount. You do know that it was decreased by 12.5%. So that would mean a multiplier of 0.875. Then it decreases by 10% and 10% again, or 0.9 squared if you want to be like that. So it's treble reverse percentages. So on your calc, start with the final amount and do it in reverse. In other words, divide by 0.9, divide by 0.9, divide by 0.875, and you get a reassuring round figure of 24,000. Number 11. Honestly, don't know why they bother with these. Too easy. 16 times 5 times 3, 240. Let's move on with our lives. Pathetic. Number 12. So, part A, you could obviously, for this triangle here, use SOHCAHTOA. But the fact that that's 45, so is that. And that actually tells you that they're the same. So nothing wrong with practicing a bit of extra SOHCAHTOA. I did do it. It's TOA. It's tan. Tan 45 times 8, or tan 45 is 1. So it will just confirm that A to C is 8. It's not a waste of time. It's all good revision. So we move on to the second triangle. There's the 20. That's the hypotenuse. That's the adjacent. 8 is the opposite. It's asking us for AB, which is the hypotenuse. So the adjacent is useless. And we're using the SO part of SOHCAHTOA. If you want the hypotenuse, which is AB, you need to do opposite, which is 8, divided by S, which is sine 20. I get 23.390. It wants 3 sig figs, so do what you're told. 23.4. Number 13. Nice column vectors, but in a slightly more strange way than you were used to. Starting off, do the basics, earn the easy marks, do 3A. That means treble the top, treble the bottom. And, now here's the thing, oh, it's a takeaway, forgot about that, minus 2 lots of don't know, but they give us 8 and minus 17. So it does pretend to look like a simultaneous equations question, but actually it's easier than that. Because if you read across the top on the corresponding elements, you get 6 take away 2x equals 8. So we add 2x and take away 8 from both sides. We get x, or in other words, the top part of b, to be negative 1. And if we read across the corresponding elements on the bottom, we get minus 9 minus 2y equals minus 17. So adding 2y, adding 17, we get y to equal 4. Number 14. So it's difference of two squares, but they've tried to disguise it by sticking an extra 4 in. So just take the 4 out. And it's easier to spot that square number minus square number. So it's p plus the root of that number, p minus the root of that number. Part B, expanding a cubic. Well, to do a cubic, you've got to start with a quadratic. So pick any two. I know some people do sometimes prefer to expand the positive ones if there are two of them first. I'm not fussed. Doesn't matter. Should end up in the same place, but I'm going to go for the first two. So I just expand them mentally. M times 2m, 4 times -5, and the m's, 4 times 2m is 8m, take away 10, m times -5 is -5m, plus 8m is positive 3m. So I do the first step mentally, and there's too many loops. So I do the second stage in a grid. It's just a bit safer that way. So across the top, we times everything by 3m, 6m cubed, 9m squared, minus 60m, and times by 1, well, just write it down again. And now we simplify, so the answer must have 6m cubed and minus 20 in it, so that's A and D done, but you don't have to list them. I have on my work solutions. You've got 9m squared, 2m squared, that would be 11 of them. Negative 60m, positive 3m is negative 57m. As I say, you don't have to list A equals or B equals. You can just leave it like that. Number 15, I've written it out in full on my work solution, so feel free to check it out on my website. Here, I'll just talk us through it. So, to show that they are similar, it's similar, not congruent. So congruent is where you have side, angle, side, RHS and all that malarkey. For similarity, you're looking for angle, angle, angle. All right, that's the key to this bit. So that side, that angle, is the same as that because opposite angles are equal. The angle at P and the angle RS, because angles subtended or on the same arc are the same, and this angle and this angle are the same for exactly the same reason. So we've got side, 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 bosh, they are similar. Number 16, good old upper and lower bounds, all that malarkey. So always make a note straight away of upper and lower. E's been rounded to 1 decimal place, that's nearest 10 pence. So go up by 5 pence, down by 5 pence. F, 1 sig fig, that's nearest penny. So go up and down by half a penny. And next, if we're wanting the upper bound, in other words, we're wanting the highest value of P. That means we want the biggest number possible on top and the smallest number as possible on the bottom. So we're going to be selecting 6.85 and 0.045. Stick it all in. So on your calc, square root, stick the whole thing in, 2 lots of 6.85 over 0.045. Your calc says 17.4483 and so on. It wants the answer to 3 significant figures. So that'll be 17.4 then. On we go to a question I've cheated on because histograms are a gold mine. but with an electronic pen and my uselessness, they take forever. So I'll just talk you through it. Remember that frequency means area. Width, make a list. So you do area, frequencies, divided by width on your calc if you need to get your heights. And heights means frequency density. So as you can see, I've plotted with my red notches. I always plot the widths on first, then get a ruler, start about going for the height, and so on. Can't believe these. So easy. It's the next bit that's a little bit trickier. So, what about the next bit? So it says that N is that region there. Do a bit of counting. You'll see that it's 10 squares across and it's 15 squares high. Doesn't have a frequency of 150, but it does have an area of 150 little baby squares. And if we don't know about the labels over here, we can't be sure about exactly what its contents are, but we can look at the little squares and check the proportion. If you do the same to 3 and 5, you get a width of 20, a height of 3. That is 60 little baby squares. So what fraction, because it's obviously smaller, what fraction smaller is it? It is 61/50ths, which cancels down to 2/5. So 2/5 n is a perfectly acceptable answer. I chose to go for 0.4 n. So a bit of a doozy for number 18. So first of all, let's identify what it's asking. As you can see, it wants the size of the angle between the line S to T, which they've labelled, and the base. So you're always looking for a right angle triangle, which I've redrawn down here and identified the angle there. I'm going to call it Y. Now, in order to find Y, we're going to need at least 2 of the other sides. So let's pick on one fact we're given. 147 is the area of the trapezium at the front. Well, the formula for the area of a trapezium is a half of the parallel sides, that's Q to B, which is 12, and P to A to P, which we don't know, but it's multiplied by the distance between them, and it's equal to 147. Now, don't write any more working out down. They've not given you much room for this. Just do it all in your calculator. Start with 147, times by 2, divide by 14, subtracting 12. You get 9 for that side. But that means the corresponding side also 9. Let's look at the other bit of information. B to T is 4/7 of the line. C to T, T to C is 3/7 of that line. Now here's where you can easily miss a bit of information. This is a square. 3/7 of 14 means that distance there is 6. So it does mean D to C to T, we've got a right angled triangle on the floor. We know that that side is 14 because that's the width of the square. We know that that's 6. So we can work out the distance from D to T, which will be this there. So on your calcs, Pythagoras, square root of 14 squared plus 6 squared, 15.23 whatever. On the diagram, it goes. So we're nearly there. So we want to find Y, opposite and adjacent. So it's inverse tan of the opposite divided by the adjacent gives me 30.58. Wants one decimal place, so 30.6. Heck of a question. So, not bad algebra, just lots of it for this one. If there's no equals to, so there's no solving involved. It just wants us to write it all over a common denominator, like so. That means we need to multiply every term by both of these. So for the first term of 3x, the x plus 2's cancel. Let's put this in brackets. Don't make that mistake. But the x minus 2's cancel. And over here, nothing cancels. You end up with both brackets. Let's expand and simplify the bottom. Oh, nice one. It's difference of 2 squares. That'll help out on the third part over here. So, expand this, 3x squared minus 6x. When you expand these, don't forget there's a minus in front, so change all the signs. 2x times x is 2x squared. Change the sign. Positive 1, positive 2 is positive 2. Change the sign. Let's look at the x terms. 2x times 2 is 4x. 1x makes 5x. Change the sign. And over here, still change all the signs, but we've got the bottom, so it'll be minus x squared, positive 4. Collecting like terms, let's see what happens. 3x squared, take away 2x squared, take away x squared. Thankfully, they all disappear, because if you look at the question, there were no x squareds in there, so we can be pretty confident we're going along the right lines. Negative 6x minus 5x, negative 11x, and then minus 2 plus 4 takes us into positive 2 territory, and that's it. A is minus 11, B is 2. Number 20, wordy, but it's really just iteration. Now, a lot of students I've worked with, they hate the look of this. So just think of it as, to get the next term, you sub in the previous term. That's the key. So in other words, we need to work out what A is. So to get the next term, 29,600, we sub in the previous term, which was 24,000, times A plus 800. So get on your calcs, you can work out A now. Take away 800 from both sides, divide by 24,000, you get 1.2. So you've now got a new formula. And that formula states, to get the next year's amount or profit, whatever you want to call it, you take the current amount, stick it in. So to get 2020's estimated profit, you do 1.2 times the current year's profit and add on 800, 36,320. So to get 2021's profit, you go again. You say that 36,320 is the current year's profit, so you times it by the 1.2 and you add on 800. We get 44,384. Don't worry about how it looks when it's written down. It's just iteration. It's repeated substitution. Number 21 for Ray. Ray's picking cards. He's adding them together. The only way that you can get an even result is if Ray picks 3 evens, or he gets an even and 2 odds. But these could be in any order. It could be odd, even, odd, or it could be odd, odd, even. So we treble it. So even, there are 4 evens out of 9. If one's been picked, there's 3 out of 8 left. So if 2 have been picked, there's 2 out of 7. And on your calcs, you're going to stick in 3 lots of. So even is still 4/9, but now odd is 5 out of 8, and another odd is 4 out of 7. Obviously, if they change order, the numerators and denominators just shuffle about. No point in listing them. Just get on your calc, add them all together. You should get 264 over 504, which cancels down to a nice 11 over 21. Number 22. We've got algebra, not as bad as it seems, because it is. Should be prepared for it. Simultaneous equations. If you're told where 2 things intersect and you've got y equals and almost y equals, you need to put them equal to each other. So let's take C. It says y squared. So replace y with the top line squared. And there we go. It's time to crack on and work out the values of x. So we expand the brackets, square the first, square the last, times them together and double it. The right-hand side is untouched. But now we need to make it equal to 0. Subtract 4x squared from both sides, subtracting 25 from both sides, adding 20x to both sides. There we go. You've got your calc, so you could go for quadratic formula, but it's not the worst factorising in the world. Can be done by sight or the AC method, because it's -11, +3, and if you check, 3 times 2x is 6x, take away 11x, gives you the -5x in the middle. So in other words, one of our solutions for x is -3. One of our solutions for x is 11 over 2. Let's find y. I'll always go to your easier formula, your easier equation, which is obviously the straight line. So we double it and we take away 5. So double it, take away 5, we get -11. We double it and we take away 5, double it, you get 11, take away 5, we get 6. Make sure you put your right pairs together. When x is -3, y is -11. When x is 5.5, y is 6. So a couple of doozies there. I'd say a middle of the road paper in my opinion. Make sure you get your teeth into as many questions, particularly that 3D trig one. Don't be put off by the volume of work, because actually each individual step, not too bad. So I really hope that's helped. I'll see you on the next one.